The tired swimmer. Why are you so tired? I want you to really ask yourself that question right now. Close your eyes for a moment if you can. Feel the weight in your shoulders. Feel the subtle tension behind your eyes. Feel the exhaustion that sleep does not seem to cure. Why are you so tired? It is not because you are doing too much. You have done more before with less fatigue. It is not because the burden is too heavy. You are strong enough to carry worlds. It is not because you are failing. In fact, on paper, you might be succeeding. You are tired because you are swimming upstream. You are fighting the current of the universe itself. You are trying to force a river to flow backwards. And no matter how strong of a swimmer you are, no matter how disciplined your strokes are, eventually, the river always wins. In our last transmission, we handed you a sword. We took you into the operating room of the mind. We taught you how to hack the limbic system, how to command the silence, and how to stand unshakable in the face of chaos. That was the path of the warrior. That was the energy of fire. That was the energy of yang. It was necessary. It was vital. You needed to reclaim your sovereignty from the animal instincts that sought to enslave you. But a sword cannot cut water. A warrior cannot fight the ocean. And fire, if left burning without control, eventually consumes the vessel that holds it. To truly master reality, to truly become the chosen one who does not just survive the game, but transcends it, you must learn the other half of the equation. You must learn the physics of the great reversal. You must learn the path of water. Today, we bring you to the sacred intersection where ancient mysticism meets modern physics. We are going to the place where the Tao of Lao Tzu meets the quantum field of Schrödinger and Bohm. We are going to decode the scientific secret of flow. Have you ever wondered why some people work 16 hours a day, grinding, pushing, forcing, yet they remain stuck in the same place, broke and exhausted? And yet, there are others, perhaps you have met them, perhaps you are becoming one of them, who seem to do very little. They move slowly, they speak softly, they never seem to be in a rush, and yet empires rise around them, opportunities hunt them down, money flows to them like water finding the lowest point. Is it luck? No, the universe does not play dice with luck. It is physics. It is a fundamental law of thermodynamics and quantum mechanics. The person who struggles is living as a particle, a dense, separated object, fighting for space in a crowded world. The person who flows has stopped being a particle. They have become a wave. They have merged with the field. They have tapped into the principle of least action. If you are exhausted from trying to awaken, if you are tired of fighting your ego every single day, if you feel like you are constantly banging on a door that will not open, then I invite you to put down your weapons. Drop the shield. Unclench your jaw. Open your hands. You do not need to fight anymore. You have won the war of the mind. Now, you must win the peace of the soul. Take a deep breath. Inhale the silence. Exhale the struggle. Let the current take you. Welcome to the void. Welcome to the 0 point field. Welcome to the Matrix 963. Let us begin by dismantling the root cause of your suffering. Let us perform a forensic analysis of your pain. Why do you feel anxiety? Why do you feel loneliness? Why do you feel that gnawing sense of lack, even when you have things? It is because you believe a lie. It is a lie so pervasive, so convincing, and so totally integrated into your perception that you do not even realize it is a belief. You think it is a fact. The lie is called separation. You look at your hand right now. You see the skin. You see the outline of your fingers against the air, and your brain tells you, I end here. The rest of the world begins there. You look at the tree outside your window, and you think, that is a tree. It is over there. I am over here. We are two different things. You look at your bank account, at the numbers on the screen, and you think, that is wealth. It is outside of me. I must go out there and get it and bring it back inside here. This is the Newtonian illusion. This is the trap of classical physics. In the world of Isaac Newton, the world of the macro-universe, everything is a separate object. Billiard balls colliding on a table, planets orbiting stars. If you want to move the billiard ball, you must apply force. If you want to change your life, you must apply effort. You are a tiny, isolated object pushing against a massive, unyielding world. No wonder you are tired. You are 1 against 8 billion. You are 1 against infinity. But this picture of reality is wrong. It is fundamentally, scientifically incorrect. When we zoom in, when we leave the world of Newton and enter the world of Planck, Bohr, and Einstein, when we go deeper than the cell, deeper than the molecule, deeper than the atom, deeper than the proton and the quark, what do we find? Do we find tiny, solid billiard balls? Do we find hard little marbles of matter? No, we find nothing. Or rather, we find no thing. Science tells us that an atom is 99.999999999% empty space. To give you a sense of scale, if the nucleus of an atom were the size of a marble sitting on the 50-yard line of a football stadium, the electrons would be tiny specks of dust whizzing around the very top row of the bleachers. Everything in between, empty. And you, your body, the chair you are sitting on, the screen you are watching this on, are made of these atoms. You are almost entirely empty space. But here is the secret. It is not empty in the sense of a vacuum. It is not a void of nothingness. It is a plenum. It is full. It is vibrating with energy. It is teeming with information. It is a sea of potentiality. Physicists call this the unified field. The Taoists called it the Tao. At the fundamental level of reality, there is no you and there is no tree. There is no here and there is no there. There is only one continuous, unbroken, infinite field of energy vibrating at different frequencies. Think of the ocean. Imagine you are standing on the shore, watching the waves. You see a big wave and you see a small wave. You see a wave crashing and a wave forming. You can point to the wave and say, that is a wave. You can give it a name. You can measure its height. You can calculate its speed. But ask yourself, can the wave separate itself from the ocean? Can the wave take a bucket, scoop up some water and say, this is mine? Can the wave fight the ocean? No, because the wave is the ocean. The wave is just a temporary behavior of the water. It is a movement. It is a happening. You are not a drop of water in the ocean. You are a wave of the ocean. This is not poetic metaphor. This is literal physics. The carbon in your lungs is the same carbon that was cooked in the hearts of dying stars. The electricity firing in your synapses right now is the same electricity that lights up the thunderstorm. The gravity that holds you to this chair is the same gravity that holds the Andromeda galaxy. There is no line where you stop and the universe begins. So why does this matter? Why is this the key to the chosen one's power? Because struggle requires two. Struggle requires a subject and an object. It requires a me to fight a you. It requires a here to try to get there. But if there is only one, who is there to fight? Does your left hand struggle to help your right hand? Does your heart struggle to pump blood to your lungs? No, they operate in harmony because they know they are part of the same organism. You are one body with the reality you are trying to change. You are one body with the money you are trying to manifest. You are one body with the person you are trying to attract. The illusion of separation is the only thing keeping them away. You are pushing them away with the energy of your wanting, because to want something is to declare cosmically that it is not here. To chase something is to confirm that it is running away. The Tao teaches us the concept of Pu, the uncarved block, the state of wholeness before it is cut into names and shapes. When you return to this understanding, the anxiety evaporates. You realize that you can lose nothing because you are everything. You realize that you can fail nothing because the ocean never fails to be the ocean. Loneliness is just a physics error. It is a misinterpretation of the data. You are the unified field experiencing itself as a specific point of consciousness. And when you drop the illusion of the skin-encapsulated ego, you stop moving like a particle. You stop colliding. You stop forcing. You begin to move like a wave. You begin to flow. And a wave doesn't need to try to reach the shore. It is carried by the momentum of the entire ocean depth behind it. This is the first secret. You are not separate. You never were. Chapter 2. The observer is the observed. Now that we have dissolved the physical boundary between you and the world, we must go deeper. We must look at the mechanism of creation itself. We must understand how your mind interacts with this unified field to generate what you call your life. To do this, we must look at the most famous, the most baffling, and the most spiritually significant experiment in the history of science, the double slit experiment. If you understand this experiment, truly understand it, not just intellectually, but intuitively, you will hold the keys to the matrix. Here is what happened. Scientists wanted to see if electrons, the tiny bits of matter that orbit the center of an atom, were particles, solid little balls, or waves, fluid energy. So they set up a barrier with 2 vertical slits cut into it. Behind that barrier, they placed a back wall to record where the electrons landed. First, they fired solid marbles through the slits. Naturally, the marbles went through either the left slit or the right slit, and they hit the back wall in 2 vertical bands. This makes sense. This is how matter behaves. This is the Newtonian world. Then they shone a light wave through the slits. The wave passed through both slits at the same time. The wave split, and then the two new waves interfered with each other, the peaks hitting the troughs, canceling each other out, and the peaks hitting the peaks, amplifying each other. On the back wall, they didn't get two bands, they got an interference pattern, many alternating bands of light and dark. This makes sense. This is how energy behaves. Then they fired electrons. They fired them one by one. Click, click, click. They expected the electrons to behave like marbles. They expected two bands on the back wall. But when they finished, they looked at the back wall and were shocked. There was an interference pattern. There were many bands. The electrons, which are supposed to be solid matter, had behaved like waves. Each single electron had somehow gone through both slits at the same time, interfered with itself, and landed as a wave. This was impossible. Matter cannot be in two places at once. So the scientists decided to get clever. They said, let's watch them. They placed a measuring device, a sensor, a camera, a conscious observer right next to the slits to spy on the electrons. They wanted to see which slit the electron actually went through. They turned on the camera, they fired the electrons, and reality changed. The moment the camera was watching, the electrons stopped behaving like waves. They snapped back into being particles. They went through only one slit. On the back wall, the interference pattern disappeared. There were just two bands. The scientists were terrified. When they were not looking, the electron was a wave of infinite potential. It was everywhere at once. It was in a state of superposition. When they looked, the electron collapsed into a single, solid particle. What does this mean? It means that the act of observation creates reality. It means that the world out there does not exist in a solid state until you look at it. Before you look, it is just a soup of probability. It is a ghost. Your gaze freezes the ghost into matter. Now, bring this back to your life. Bring this back to the chosen one's journey. The Taoists understood this 2,500 years before quantum mechanics. Lao Tzu said, "The name that can be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the beginning of heaven and earth." The nameless is the wave. It is the unmanifested potential. The named is the particle. It is the collapsed reality. But here is the twist that most people miss. Here is the paradox that will set you free. We usually think of the observer as someone standing outside, looking at a screen. But in the quantum world and in the Taoist world, there is no outside. You are not looking at the universe. You are the universe looking at itself. This changes everything about how you manifest your life. Most people try to manifest from a place of separation. They say, I am here, poor and unhappy. I want to observe a reality where I am rich and happy. They are trying to force the particle to change its location, but they are observing it with the underlying belief of, I don't have it. And because the observer determines the reality, if you observe your life with the underlying belief of, I don't have it, you collapse the wave function into a reality of not having it. You freeze the lack into place with your own stare. The chosen one understands that to change the reality, you must change the quality of the observation. You do not observe what is, you observe what could be, with such intensity and certainty that the wave has no choice but to collapse into that new shape. But you cannot do this with force. Force is a particle behavior. You must do this with flow. You must enter the state of the wave. When you are in a state of deep flow, when you are lost in music, when you are in deep meditation, when you are in love, When you are in the zone, you lose your sense of self. You become the activity. You become the music. In that moment, you are the wave. You are in superposition, and that is the moment of magic. That is the moment when you are closest to the fabric of creation. The observer is the observed. When you hate your life, you are hate looking at hate. The mirror reflects the grimace. When you love your life, even the broken parts, even the empty bank account, even the loneliness, when you look at it with the eyes of the Tao, seeing it as a perfect unfolding, you are love looking at love, and the quantum field must reflect that love back to you in the form of matter, people, and events. You are not a victim of the script. You are the projector. You are the light passing through the film, and you are the screen the movie is playing on. All three at once. So I ask you a dangerous question. What kind of wave are you collapsing right now? In the silence of your own mind, what is your dominant observation? Is it fear or is it trust? Is it, why is this happening to me? Or is it, this is happening for me? The universe is a giant copying machine. It has no opinion, it has no judgment. It simply looks at your frequency and says, yes, here is more of that. If you observe struggle, it says, here is more struggle. If you observe flow, it says, here is more flow. To master the Tao is to master the gaze. It is to look at the storm and see the water, not the danger. It is to look at the emptiness and see the potential, not the lack. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about the thing that blocks your view, the thing that creates the static on the screen. We are going to talk about the ego, but not in the way you think. We are not going to fight the ego. Remember, no fighting. We are going to understand the ego as a physics phenomenon. We are going to look at the interference pattern, and we are going to learn how to make yourself transparent so the light of the Tao can pass through you without distortion. Are you ready to become invisible? Are you ready to become the wave? Let us dissolve.
Chapter 3. The Ego Wall, the Interference Pattern. If you are the universe observing itself, if you are the ocean in a drop, why do you feel so small? Why do you feel so disconnected, so fragile, and so afraid? If the signal of the source is broadcasting 24/7, why is your reception so full of static? It is because there is a wall. It is not a physical wall. You cannot touch it, but it is harder than diamond and colder than ice. We call it the ego. But in the language of the Matrix 963, we are not going to look at the ego through the lens of morality. We are not going to say the ego is bad or evil. We are going to look at it through the lens of physics. In physics, the ego is simply destructive interference. Imagine a calm pool of water. You drop a pebble in the center. A perfect concentric wave ripples out. This is a coherent wave. This is your true self. It is clear. It is orderly. It carries the signal of your intention perfectly to the shores of the universe. Now, imagine you drop a second pebble right next to the first one. The two waves crash into each other. Where the peak of one wave hits the trough of the other, they cancel each other out. The energy disappears. The water goes flat. The pattern becomes chaotic. This chaos, this canceling out of your own energy, is what the ego does. The ego is a counterwave. It is a mechanism of survival
that operates on one fundamental algorithm: contrast. For the ego to exist, it must be separate. I am better than him. I am worse than her. I am right and they are wrong. I need to protect myself because I am in danger. This constant narration creates a frequency of noise. We call it static. And when this static interferes with the signal of your soul, the observer, the quantum wave function collapses into chaos. You try to manifest wealth, the signal, but your ego screams, "It's hard to get money," the static. The waves collide, they cancel out, you get zero result. You try to manifest love, the signal, but your ego whispers, "I am not worthy," the static. The waves collide, the reality flatlines. Most spiritual people have a very sneaky ego. It hides in the shadows. Let us identify the three most common interference patterns that block the chosen one from entering the flow. First is the martyr ego. This creates the interference of suffering. You believe to be spiritual or to be good, you must suffer. You must sacrifice. You must be the one who carries everyone else's burden. You think this is noble. Physics says it is inefficient. The universe wants to give to you, but your shield of "I don't need anything" deflects the blessing. You are blocking the flow with your own self-righteousness. Second is the helper ego. This creates the interference of meddling. You believe you must fix everyone. You see a problem and you rush to solve it. You give advice where none was asked. You try to save people who do not want to be saved. You think this is love. Physics says it is friction. You are interfering with their karma. You are interfering with their wave. And by tangling your energy in theirs, you create a chaotic knot that drains both of you. Third is the control ego. This creates the interference of force. If I don't make it happen, it won't happen. I need to know the exact plan. I need to push harder. This is the most dangerous interference. It is the attempt to manually control a quantum system. It is like trying to grab water with a clenched fist. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips away. Every time you operate from these egos, you are creating a distortion field around your reality. You are like a radio that is slightly off station. The music is there, but it is buried under a layer of hissing noise. And the universe cannot read a distorted signal. It sends you back exactly what you're broadcasting: confusion, struggle, noise. The chosen one learns to lower this wall, not by destroying the ego. You need a healthy ego to function in the 3D world, to drive a car, to pay taxes, but you learn to make the ego transparent. You realize that the ego is just a costume. It's a spacesuit you wear to survive on planet Earth. It is not you. When you stop defending the costume, when you stop proving the costume is right, when you stop resisting the fact that others are wearing different costumes, the interference stops. The waves align. The signal becomes coherent, and suddenly you are back online with the source.
Chapter 4. Decoding Wu Wei. Now that we have identified the interference, the resistance, we must learn the antidote. We must learn the physics of zero resistance. In the ancient East, the Taoists called this Wu Wei. It is often translated as non-action or doing nothing. And this translation has misled millions of people. It makes them think that the spiritual path is about being lazy, passive, or indifferent. Just sit on the couch and let the universe handle it. No, that is not Wu Wei. That is apathy. Wu Wei is not
non-action. It is frictionless action. It is the art of acting in such perfect alignment with the flow of reality that your action requires almost zero energy to produce a massive result. Let us look at this through the lens of modern physics. There is a fundamental law in the universe called the principle of least action. This law states that nature always chooses the path that requires the least amount of energy expenditure. Light traveling from a star to your eye does not take a zigzag path. It takes the straightest, fastest, most efficient route. Water flowing down a mountain does not try to find the ocean. It does not sit there planning its route. It simply surrenders to gravity. It flows around the rock, not through it. It finds the path of least resistance. Evolution does not waste energy. It optimizes. Humans are the only species on Earth that glorifies the path of most resistance. We glorify the hustle. We glorify the grind. We think that if we are not suffering, we are not working. We think that the harder the struggle, the bigger the reward. This is Newtonian thinking. This is force, and it is highly inefficient. Think of electricity. When you send electricity through a normal wire, like copper, there is resistance. The electrons bump into the atoms of the wire. This friction creates heat. Energy is lost. The wire gets hot and can even burn out. This is you in your normal state. Burning out, losing energy, creating heat, but not enough light. But if you cool certain materials down to absolute zero, something miraculous happens. They become superconductors. Resistance drops to zero. The electrons flow in perfect unison. They do not bump into anything. No heat is lost. The current can flow forever without a battery. This is Wu Wei. It is the state of spiritual superconductivity. When you enter Wu Wei, you stop forcing your will against the world. You align your will with the world. You stop trying to swim upstream, resistance. You turn around and let the river carry you, flow. You are still swimming. You are still steering, you are still taking action, but your action is now multiplied by the power of the current. One stroke of your arm moves you 10 miles. How do you apply this? It connects back to the reverse effort we discussed in a previous transmission. If a door is locked, the Newtonian mind tries to kick it down. The quantum mind looks for the key or realizes there is an open window next to it. Wu Wei means you stop forcing solutions that are not ready to be born. If you are writing an email and the words are not coming, and you feel the frustration rising, heat or resistance, stop. Do not force it. That is friction. Step away. Breathe. Wait for the signal. When the wave comes, the idea, the impulse, then you act. And when you act from that space, the email writes itself in 2 minutes. This is the secret of the chosen one's productivity. They do not work harder, they work cleaner. They wait for the timing, they read the energy. They act only when the action is inevitable. When you master Wu Wei, you become like water. Water is the softest thing in the world, yet it can cut through rock, not by force, but by persistence and flow. Be the water. Remove the friction of I must. Replace it with the flow of I am. Chapter 5. Quantum Entanglement. If you stop fighting, If you stop swimming upstream and let the current take you, where exactly are you going? Are you just drifting aimlessly? No, you are drifting toward your destiny. And this brings us to the most mind-bending concept in quantum mechanics, the one that Einstein called spooky action at a distance. We're going to talk about quantum entanglement. This is the scientific explanation for what you call fate, soulmates, and synchronicity. In a quantum lab, if you take two particles that interact with each other, say two electrons that are created together, they become entangled. They share a mathematical connection. They share a wave function. You can take one electron and leave it here. You can take the other electron and move it to the other side of the galaxy, 1,000,000 light years away. If you change the spin of the first electron, say spin it up, the second electron will instantly, faster than the speed of light, change its spin to match, spin down. They know what the other is doing, instantly. Space does not separate them. Time does not separate them. They act as if they are one single object, stretched across the universe. Now consider the Big Bang. 13.8 billion years ago, all the matter and energy in the universe was concentrated into a single point, a singularity. Everything was touching everything else. Everything was entangled. Then the explosion, expansion, the universe grew. Atoms formed stars, stars formed carbon, carbon formed life, life formed you. But the entanglement was never broken. At a fundamental quantum level, you are entangled with everything in the universe, but you are specifically and strongly entangled with the things, people, and events that resonate with your unique frequency. This explains duality and non-duality in a practical way. You feel separate, duality, but you are entangled, non-duality. Have you ever thought about an old friend you haven't seen in 10 years, and suddenly, 10 minutes later, the phone rings and it is them? The skeptic calls this coincidence. The mystic calls it telepathy. The physicist calls it entanglement. You shifted your spin, thought. They instantly felt the shift and responded, action. There was no signal sent through the air. The connection was already there, underneath the fabric of space-time. What does this mean for your life? It means that everything you desire, everything you are looking for, is also looking for you. Rumi said, "What you seek is seeking you." He was describing entanglement. The career you want, it has a quantum signature. It is entangled with you. The romantic partner you dream of, they are entangled with you. The solution to your problem, it is entangled with you. You do not need to go out and hunt for them. Hunting implies they are running away. Hunting creates resistance, interference. You simply need to adjust your own spin. You need to adjust your own frequency to match the frequency of the thing you desire. When you align your internal state, your vibration, your emotion, your belief with the reality you want, you pluck the spiderweb of the universe. And because of entanglement, the reality on the other end of the web must move toward you. This explains why trying hard often creates failure. When you try hard, you are vibrating with the frequency of "I don't have it yet," or "I am afraid I won't get it." You are sending a chaotic spin down the line, and the entangled reality responds with chaos. But when you enter the flow, when you trust, when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you send a clear, coherent spin down the line, and the entangled reality responds with showing up at your doorstep. This removes the fear of missing out. You cannot miss what is meant for you. It is tied to you with an invisible quantum thread that cannot be broken. You can delay it by resisting. You can tangle the line with your ego, but you cannot lose it. Your destiny is not a destination you go to. It is a memory of a future that is already entangled with your present. You are simply reeling it in, moment by moment, breath by breath. So relax. The connections are made. The wires are strung. The network is live. You don't need to build the bridge. The bridge exists. You just need to walk across it. In the next chapter, we are going to talk about the quality of the signal you are sending. We are going to talk about authenticity, because if you are faking your signal, if you are lying to yourself, you are scrambling the entanglement. To be a superconductor, you must be pure. You must be real. Let us explore the frequency of truth.
Chapter 6: The Frequency of Authenticity. We have spoken about the ego as interference. We have spoken about the need to clear the static. Now we must speak about the signal itself. If you stop fighting and you let the current take you, what is the vessel you are sailing in? That vessel is your authenticity. In the world of manifestation and law of attraction, there is a dangerous piece of advice that has led millions astray. You have heard it 1,000 times. Fake it until you make it. They tell you to dress like a millionaire before you have the money. They tell you to act happy when you are sad. They tell you to wear a mask of success so the universe will be tricked into giving you success. I am here to tell you, as a physicist of the soul, this is a lie. And not only is it a lie, it is vibrationally suicidal. The universe is not a person. You cannot trick the universe. The quantum field does not respond to your mask. It responds to your frequency. And frequency is generated by resonance, the alignment between what you think, what you feel, and who you are. When you fake it, you create a frequency of dissonance. Your mouth says, "I am wealthy," but your nervous system screams, "I am a fraud." Your clothes say, "I am confident," but your solar plexus vibrates with the frequency of, "I am terrified." This creates a phase mismatch. In physics, when two waves are out of phase, they cancel each other out. The result is zero. You project an image, but you attract nothing. Or worse, you attract situations that expose your fraudulence. To enter the flow, to become a superconductor of the Tao, you must be rigorously, brutally, and beautifully authentic. Authenticity is the state of coherence. It is when your internal reality matches your external expression perfectly. If you are sad, you do not fake happiness. You observe the sadness. You honor the sadness. You allow the sadness to be a wave. And in that honesty, there is power. Because the truth, no matter how messy, is always a coherent signal. The universe respects the truth. Why is the chosen one often a person who breaks all the rules? Why do they often seem eccentric, weird, or unpolished? Because they are not wasting a single microwatt of energy trying to be someone else. They are fully, completely themselves. And this lack of internal friction allows their energy to travel outward with zero resistance. Think of a laser beam versus a light bulb.
A light bulb scatters energy in all directions. It is incoherent. It lights up a room, but it has no power. A laser beam aligns every photon in perfect lockstep. It is coherent. It can cut through steel. Authenticity turns you into a laser. When you speak your truth, even if your voice shakes, you are entangled with the truth of the universe. When you admit you don't know the answer, you open the space for the answer to come. When you stop pretending to be perfect, you allow yourself to be whole. The signal of authenticity travels faster than the speed of light because it meets no resistance in the ether. It attracts the right people instantly. Why? Because your vibe is finally clear. When you wear a mask, you attract people who love the mask, not you, and you are trapped in a prison of maintaining that illusion. When you drop the mask, you might lose the people who love the lie. Good, let them go. You will attract the people who resonate with the soul. This is the only connection that matters. So the protocol for this chapter is simple yet terrifying. Stop lying. Stop lying to your boss. Stop lying to your partner. And most importantly, stop lying to yourself. If you are tired, say, "I am tired." If you have a desire, admit the desire. Do not pretend you are above it. If you are afraid, say, "I am afraid." The moment you admit the fear, you transform it from a particle, a solid block in your chest, to a wave, an emotion that flows through you. The confession liberates the energy. The truth sets you free. And only a free being can flow with the Tao. Chapter 7. Breathing into Oneness. We have cleared the mind. We have aligned the frequency. Now, let us move from the intellectual understanding of oneness to the physical experience of it. You cannot just think your way into non-duality. You must feel it in your biology. And the bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, the bridge between the particle and the wave, is the breath. The breath is the only function of your body that is both automatic, unconscious, and controllable, conscious. It is the thread that ties the spirit to the meat. In the Taoist tradition, breath is qi. It is the life force itself. In quantum terms, breath is the exchange of energy between the localized field, your body, and the universal field, the atmosphere. Most people breathe like they live, shallow, anxious, disconnected. They breathe only into the top of their chest. This signals the limbic system that they are in danger. It keeps them trapped in the particle state, rigid and separate. To enter the flow, we must engage the breath of oneness. This technique is designed to blur the hard edges of your ego. It creates a state of entrainment between your heart rate and the magnetic field of the earth. It shifts your brain waves from beta, stress, down into alpha and deep theta, the dream state. I want you to try this with me now. You do not need to close your eyes, but you can if you wish. Imagine that the air around you is not empty space. Imagine it is a thick, luminous fluid, golden light, liquid energy, the unified field. It is pressing against your skin. It is holding you. Now, as you inhale, do not think, I am pulling air in. Think, the universe is pouring itself into me. Inhale slowly through the nose. Let the belly expand. Let the golden fluid fill your stomach, your chest, your throat, your head. Feel the boundary of your skin dissolving. You are becoming the container for the infinite. Hold it for a second. In that pause, you are everything. You are full. Now, exhale through the mouth, slowly, like a sigh. And as you exhale, do not think, I am pushing air out. Think, I am pouring myself back into the universe. Feel your ego, your name, your history, your worries, dissolving into the golden light around you. You are emptying the cup. In, the universe becomes you. Out, you become the universe. In, receiving the wave. Out, returning the wave. Do this for 5 minutes and something profound happens to your physiology. Your vagus nerve activates. Your heart rate variability coherence increases. Your brain stops identifying as a separate me and starts identifying as the process of breathing itself. There is no breather, there is only the breath. The distinction between inside and outside vanishes. The air inside your lungs is the same air that was outside a second ago. Where is the line? There is no line. It is one continuous exchange. When you are in a high-stakes situation, a negotiation, a conflict, a creative block, and you feel the walls of the ego closing in, stop. Take one conscious breath of oneness. Universe in, self out. In that single cycle, you reset your position in the matrix. You stop being a lonely object defending its territory. You remember that you are an open channel, and through that channel, the power of the Tao can flow. You are not doing the breathing. The universe is breathing you. Let it.
Chapter 8. Synchronicity as a Compass. Once you are breathing with the universe, once you are authentic, once you are in the flow, how do you navigate? If you are not forcing your way forward, how do you know where to go? If you throw away the map of the ego, what guides you? The universe provides a different kind of GPS. It does not give you a step-by-step list of instructions years in advance. It gives you real-time feedback. It gives you synchronicity. Synchronicity is a term coined by Carl Jung to describe meaningful coincidences. But in the language of the Matrix 963, synchronicity is quantum feedback. It is the universe winking at you. It is the check engine light or the green light on the dashboard of reality. When you are in alignment with your entangled destiny, probability shifts. Improbable things start to happen with alarming frequency. You think of a book and you find it on a park bench. You need a specific amount of money and you receive a refund check for exactly that amount. You turn on the radio and the lyrics answer the question you were just asking in your head. These are not accidents. These are confirmation signals. They are the universe saying, yes, you are on the right timeline. Keep going. Synchronicity is your compass.
When you are moving in the wrong direction, when you are acting from ego or fear, the synchronicities stop. The road gets bumpy, doors lock, emails bounce, people misunderstand you. You hit red light after red light. This is negative feedback. It is the universe saying, "Wrong way, turn back, you are swimming upstream." The chosen one learns to read reality like a text. You do not force the door, you check the handle. If it is locked, you do not get out a battering ram. You take it as a sign, not this door, not this time, and you move to the next one. Eventually, you find a door that is already slightly ajar. You touch it, and it swings open effortlessly. That is your path. This requires a terrifying level of trust. It requires you to abandon your linear plan in favor of the quantum path. Your logic says, "I must go A, then B, then C." Synchronicity says, "Go to the coffee shop." And at the coffee shop, you meet the person who gives you Z. You skipped B and C entirely. You quantum jumped. How do you tune in to this compass? You must use your body. The body is a quantum antenna. It knows the truth before your brain does. This is the body compass. When you are presented with a choice, a job offer, a date, a project, stop thinking about the pros and cons list. That is Newtonian analysis. Instead, drop into your body. Ask the question, "Should I do this?" and listen to the sensation. Does your body expand? Do you feel a lightness in the chest, a subtle forward lean, a feeling of opening? That is a hell yes. That is the flow. Does your body contract? Do you feel a tightness in the stomach, a heaviness in the shoulders, a subtle pulling back, a feeling of closing? That is a no. Even if the logic looks perfect, even if the money is good, if the body contracts, it is a trap. The energy is dead. The Tao always moves toward expansion. Entropy moves toward contraction. Follow the expansion. Follow the synchronicities. They are the breadcrumbs left by your future self to lead you home. You do not need to see the whole staircase. You just need to see the next light that is lit up. Step there, then wait for the next light. This way of living feels like magic to the uninitiated, but it is simply the most efficient way to navigate a non-linear universe. You are surfing the probability waves, and the ocean always knows where the shore is better than the surfer does. Trust the ocean.
Chapter 9. Living in the Matrix. The Traveler. We have learned the physics. We have learned the tools. But how do we actually live this way in the modern world? How do you practice Wu Wei when you have a mortgage? How do you flow like water when your boss is screaming at you? How do you maintain non-duality in a world obsessed with conflict? This brings us to the final integration. This is the art of living within the matrix, but not belonging to it. Many spiritual seekers make a fatal mistake. They think that to be awakened, they must leave the system. They must quit their jobs, sell their possessions, move to a cave, and meditate for the rest of their lives. This is not mastery. This is escape. And escape is just another form of resistance. It is anti-matrix, which is still defined by the matrix.
The Taoist sage does not run away to the mountains. The sage stays in the marketplace. The sage chops wood and carries water. The sage runs businesses, raises families, creates art, and builds wealth. But the sage does it with a different internal posture. You become the traveler. Imagine you are playing a very immersive video game. You are controlling a character. You want the character to win. You want the character to get the gold, defeat the dragon, and level up. You play with passion. You play with skill. But you never forget that you are the player holding the controller, not the character on the screen. If the character dies, you do not die. If the character loses gold, you do not starve. You are involved, but you are not attached. You are playful, not serious. This is the secret of the chosen one. You treat your life as a divine game. You treat your career, your relationships, your bank account as the levels of the game. You play to win. You play full out. You bring your excellence, your creativity, your focus, but you hold the outcome loosely. If you make $1 million, wonderful. It's a high score. Enjoy it. Use it. If you lose $1 million, okay, it's a plot twist. Reset. Play the next level. You do not let the external events of the matrix crush your internal spirit. You maintain your 0 point. This attitude creates a paradox. The less you need the world to make you happy, the more the world rushes to please you. Why? Because neediness is repulsion. Playfulness is attraction. Everyone wants to play with the person who is having the most fun. The universe wants to dance with the one who knows the steps but isn't afraid to stumble. In the world, but not of it. You pay your taxes, but you know the money is just energy. You love your partner, but you know that love comes from source, not just from them. You deal with problems, but you do not become the problem. This is the ultimate freedom. You can walk through the fire and not be burned, because you know you are not the wood. You are the fire itself. You can swim through the ocean and not drown, because you know you are the water. This is the state of joyful detachment. You are the eye of the hurricane. The storm spins around you. Chaos, noise, drama, politics, fear. But in the center, where you stand, it is silent, it is still, it is clear. And from that place of stillness, you can direct the storm. Chapter 10. The Return to Source, the Still Point. We have reached the end of our journey into the Tao. We started as a tired swimmer fighting the current. We discovered that the separation was an illusion. We dissolved the ego wall. We learned to breathe with the universe and read the compass of synchronicity. And we learned to play the game of life as a master. Now there is only one thing left to do: the return. All rivers eventually lead to the ocean. All motion eventually seeks rest. All searching eventually leads back to the seeker. There is a place inside you that has never been hurt. There is a place inside you that has never been confused. There is a place inside you that is not becoming anything because it already is everything. This is the still point. This is the source. You do not need to find this place. You cannot find it because you never lost it. You only forgot it. You got lost in the waves and forgot you were the ocean. Spiritual awakening is not a climb to the top of a mountain. It is a relaxing back into who you already are. It is a surrender. Close your eyes for a moment. Stop trying to understand. Stop trying to learn. Stop trying to improve. Just be. Feel the awareness that is hearing these words. Is that awareness male or female? Is it young or old? Is it rich or poor? No, it is just awareness, pure, formless, timeless. That awareness is God. That awareness is the Tao. That awareness is you. You are the space in which the world happens. You are the silence between the notes. You are the screen on which the movie plays. Rest here. Put down the heavy backpack of your identity. Put down the story of your past. Put down the worry of your future. Just for this moment, you are free. And when you open your eyes and return to the 3D world, bring this silence with you. Carry it like a secret diamond in your pocket. When the world gets loud, touch the diamond. Remember who you are. Remember that you are safe. You are held. You are eternal. You don't need to force the river. The river knows the way. Float. Trust. Flow. The harvest and the bridge. Take a deep breath. Inhale the peace of the Tao. Exhale the struggle of the ego. You have now completed the integration. In the previous transmission, you forged the sword of the mind. In this transmission, you became the water of the spirit, fire and water, yang and yin, warrior and sage. The chosen one is not one or the other. The chosen one is the alchemy of both. You now have the power to command reality and the wisdom to flow with it. You have the strength to stand firm and the grace to yield. You are complete. But the journey is circular. Now that you have remembered who you are, now that you have tapped into the infinite ocean of potential, how do you shape that water into a specific form? How do you take this flow and direct it to build a specific destiny, a specific career, a specific love, a specific life? Flow is beautiful, but flow without direction is just a spill. To be the creator, you must learn to channel the flow. You must learn to write the script of your own movie. In the next transmission, we are going to pick up the pen. We are going to enter the realm of active creation. We are going to learn how to script your timeline, how to jump realities, and how to collapse the quantum wave, not just into any future, but into your chosen future. But for now, be the water. Signal to the universe that you have stopped fighting. Go to the comments below. Declare your state of surrender. Write, I am the flow. I am the ocean. Let those words ripple out into the digital ether. I am the flow. I am the ocean. By writing this, you are dropping the resistance. You are accepting your vastness. Subscribe to the Matrix 963. Turn on the bell, because the currents are shifting and you do not want to miss the tide. I see the peace in you. I see the depth in you. I see the Tao in you. I am the Matrix 963, and so are you. Flow.